So ladies and gentlemen, this is the objection handling model, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk through it, explaining all of these different steps in that model. So the first thing in, the objection comes in. Wow! The price is too high. Now, the problem with human beings is the first thing we do when we're assessing any situation is it dangerous? And if we think that it's dangerous, then we do one of three things, and that's first, freeze. And if that doesn't work, then we try to flee. We try to get away. And if that doesn't work, then we move forward and we come into fight. Okay, come on, yeah, let's fight. Now, this response comes, is hardwired and comes from years and years and years ago when we used to be hunter-gatherers out on the plains and savannas or in forests and places like this. Imagine the situation, you know, you're walking along one day through the savannah, it's a beautiful sunny day, and then suddenly in the distance you spy a tiger. That's the first thing you do, is you keep quiet. And then, when you think the animal is not seeing you, very, very carefully, you begin trying to move away until you notice the lion has seen you. Then you pick up whatever you can to try and defend yourself in the last fight. Well, unfortunately, it's the same thing with our customer as well. The price is too high. Do you want a discount, maybe? Or the discount's not enough? Well, have you thought about the value proposition? Have you thought about the benefits of our solution? Have you thought about what our solution can do that the competitor can't? There you are. So, there's another way of dealing with it. A third path, and this idea comes out of the book Getting to Yes by Roger Fisher. Excellent book. So, objection comes in. The price is too high. The first thing we need to do is to get ourselves under control, because if we are feeling strong, then we can deal with the objection. There's two major ways of doing that. One of them is relaxing and breathing. You'll notice when people get nervous or stressed, especially when they're presenting or on stage or in a difficult situation, you'll notice that slowly their whole body language starts moving upwards. They tighten up here, they stop breathing, their voice starts going up, they get more and more stressed, and they're like, wait, no, what do I do? So the thing is we have to do is breathe. Because by doing that, we're massaging here, that huge muscle, the diaphragm, which sucks down in the lungs here. And by doing that, the whole energy of the body starts moving back down again. The shoulders drop. And we start breathing nice and deep into that diaphragm. Another way of doing it is to win time, to repeat the objection of what the person has just said. The price is too high. The price is too high. Please tell me about it. Because when you actually say that, what you're actually saying to the customer is, I'm listening. What you say is important to me. I've got time to hear why you think the price is too high. So actually repeating the objection shows active listening. And what we're doing is, by doing that, we're winning time so we can calm down and start breathing, and we're beginning the first stage of the objection handling cycle, which is clarifying. We're looking for the difference between position and interest. And here we're going to have the wonderful orange story.
Once upon a time, two kids found an orange.
My orange! Give me back my orange, you stupid idiot!
Kids! Hiya! What do you want?
The orange?
Do you want the orange?
Yes.
Why don't you just cut it in half? Look, there's half for you and half for you.
Linus begins grating his half of the orange because he wants orange zest, a special flavour for baking a cake. Clara begins peeling her half of the orange because she's hungry and thirsty and, of course, enjoys annoying her brother.
So the wonderful orange story. The position was, give me the orange, give me the orange, give me the orange. The interest driving it was, I'm hungry and thirsty. Oh, I want to eat that orange. Or on the other side, the interest was, I need the peel of the orange, the zest for a specific flavor. Had the father understood the interests behind the position, he would not have cut the orange in half. He would have given all of the flesh to one child and all of the peel to the other child. So this is what clarifying is about position and interest. So in the situation, the price is too high, we now need to start questioning. The price is too high? Tell me about it, please. I'm interested to find out more. Well, you know we don't have the budget at the moment. We were talking about that earlier. Oh, you don't have the budget at the moment. Tell me more about that. Yes, I mean, you know that our budgets are issued quarterly. I said to you that we've just been working on a very complex problem, a difficult problem. So I don't know why you're expecting us to pay for this immediately. Okay, so I hear that you've got budget constraints at the moment, but you still really like our solution. Yes, that's correct. And I don't want to delay it till next quarter because it simply costs us money not to be working on this project now. So I've started clarifying. Now, it could well be that the person is very upset. And when the problem is, when people are upset, they switch down, they stop listening, they stop being observant of the world around them. Instead, they're just angry and frustrated. So it's extremely important to separate the people from the problem. Let the people get frustrated. Understand and respect their frustration. But just because they're frustrated and angry, it doesn't mean that you have to go soft on the problem. You can still say hard on the problem. So respect the emotions, but go hard on the problem. In this situation, you know, customer, I can really understand you're frustrated that I actually overlooked, you know, these budget constraints of yours at the moment. Yeah. You know, I'm sure we can work on this one. I would be frustrated in your situation as well. So, we've dealt with the person's emotions. Once we think we've actually identified the correct interest, then we move to the test phase. And the test phase is asking a question to push for a yes or a no answer. We are not talking about the solution. We're simply testing, have we discovered the correct interest? And in this case, it would be, so if I understand correctly, if we can remove the budget constraints at the moment in this quarter, you would then like to move forward with the solution. Yes, that's correct, I would. So once we've established that, we can move on. Of course, if the person says, no, it's not about this quarter, it's longer as well, then you need to return to the clarify stage to start finding out more about what they have just said. So anyway, in our example now, we can move to the solution. And in the solution phase, I would like to spend a short moment talking about the dreamer, the realist, and the critic. This is an idea which comes from Robert Dilts in the NLP community. And Robert Dilts had been studying Walt Disney. Now, the legend has it, the story as I heard it, is as follows. That Walt Disney had 3 different meeting rooms. There was the dreamer room. Everybody this morning, come on into the dreamer room, and you're only allowed to be creative. You're only allowed to have lots and lots of ideas and yes, throw them all out, see what comes out of that. And at some point, Walt would say, okay, everybody, let's take all of those ideas and let's take them through to the critic room. And in the critic room, everybody pulled apart the ideas, said, that won't work, that's a silly idea. How does that fit into the idea we were working on originally? And the ideas which survived the critic room were taken to the realist room where they were turned into the movies that we know from Walt Disney's time. Now, in business, this is so important because, and I think many of you will have experienced this situation, when you're in a meeting and you say, I've got this wonderful idea. Oh, you know, we could do A, B, C. And then there's somebody else in the meeting and that somebody else says, A, B, C. A, that's a ridiculous idea. Who thinks that would work? And B, what do you think about B? Anybody here like the idea B? And as for C, and the person who actually had the idea is like, oh, okay, well, I don't think I've got any other ideas. And that's why it's so important to get as many ideas as generated as possible, and then when you're done with that, then start criticizing them, because by doing that you separate the ownership of the idea. This person had an idea, and then they're invited to actually criticize their own idea as well as everybody else's. So it makes it much easier to actually find good ideas and all of that creativity without offending specific people. Now, with your customer, you're doing the same thing as well. You're inviting them into the creativity process to generate as many ideas as possible. And this is really important for two major reasons. The first reason is that the more ideas you have, the more choice you have to choose the best possible solution. You can start combining ideas together. You can, maybe a crazy idea will generate a new solution, whatever. The point is, the more potential solutions you have, the more choice you have, and the more likely you are to have a win-win with the client. The second reason why it's so important to work with the client is ownership. If the client has the idea themselves, then they own the idea, and they are much more likely to say yes to the solution than if you push it upon them. So that was the objection handling model. Now, for myself in the objection handling model, there's a lot of good ideas there as well. But for me, there's two things in this model which are absolutely the base of good communication. And if you're going to be a good salesperson, if you're going to be a good communicator, these are the two single most important things that you've got to do. And it doesn't matter if it's for objection handling, it's for any area of communication as well. Firstly, that is the concept of position and interest. Remember that when people say something, there's normally another idea driving it from behind, which is the interest. And the second most important thing is empathy. Separate the people from the problem. Work with human beings. Work with their emotions, but then understand that you can also work with business and facts on top of that as well. That's the objection handling model, folks. Thank you very much.